Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Deborah and this is All Things Watercolour. It is almost spring, hopefully. Here in Canada we still have a lot of snow, but we are hoping that spring is on its way. And there's nothing better than waking up and seeing flowers in the garden. So today I'm going to show you how to paint really simple tulips. They're a very easy flower to paint, but there's a couple of ways to do it. There's a way to do it where it doesn't look so great, which will look like this. And there's a way to do it that'll look much better, which will look like this. So I'm going to show you some how-tos and some tips. I want you to follow along. Grab your paper, paints, paintbrush, clean water, and paper towel. And I'll see you very soon. Let's go. The paper I'm using today is from this Artistro watercolor pad. And the paints I'm going to use are from my medium watercolor palette. I'm actually only using 4 of these colors, but I will talk to you about them as we go along. These are the 2 brushes that I'm using today. This is a size 10 round brush, and this one, it's worn off, but I think it's a size 8. You can use any 2 round brushes. You just want to make sure one is just a little bit bigger than the other. Doesn't really matter what brand, just as long as they're round and one is slightly bigger than the other. Okay, to start off, what I'm going to do is speed up this video because this is the wrong way to do tulips. And you don't want to sit through all of this at regular speed. But I just wanted to show you this so that you can know there's a better way of doing them. You know, when you are painting and just beginning and starting out, it's trial and error. You don't know what you're doing, and so you just kind of fumble along and figure things out. And if someone doesn't show you a more successful way to do it, then how are you going to know, right? So what I did with these first set of tulips is I painted just a basic sort of petal oval shape with each of them, and then I let that dry, and then I went in and did petals on the side of each of the shapes that I already had. And when I say petals, I just mean I sort of stroke the brush up on each side and then one in the middle. With the tulips, you want to give the illusion that they are deeper, that there's an inner center part, and then you've got the petals on the outside. And so the first time I did this, I had the stronger color in the middle, which when you do a lot of flowers, that's typically how you were doing it. If you were doing roses, you would always make sure that the stronger color, the deeper color, is in the middle. But when you do that with a tulip shape like this, you actually end up with shapes on the outside that are sort of not as deep in color. They're a little bit more see-through, and it just doesn't give the illusion that that you're going for. And so when I did it the second time, well, I did it differently, you'll see. But I just wanted to show you this first so that you can see that if you do it this way, they're not going to look as good as they could. And so you want the stronger color to be on the outside. Okay, so this is what you want to do. First of all, I am going to put some little dots of strong color, and then from that, I'm going to stroke the color up. You want to think about the composition of your flowers. Where do you want them to be? And leave enough space for each of them. And then that dot of color, you're just going to stroke up into a sort of oval shape. Now this color is going to be quite light in value. The value will be light, meaning there's not a lot of pigmentation, there's not a lot of color, because you want the stronger color to be on the outside. So it's going to be the opposite of that first set that I did. So here I'm doing the same thing with my second color. I decided to do sort of an orange color and a yellow color in my flowers. So I'm just going to do the same here with the yellow. From that dot of color, stroking the color up into my basic tulip shape, which again is just like a sort of oval with a point at the bottom. I then dropped in, while the paint was still wet, I just dropped in 1 dot of that same color so that it could work its magic as wet on wet and sort of feed that color, let it blend up into the flower, into the petal a little bit more. I did end up using my brush to help that color just move up a little bit. It wasn't blending quite as well as I wanted it to, so I did help it just a tad. And then I wanted my color to be completely dry for the next step. So I did get my hairdryer and give this a quick blast, a gentle blast, to not move that color around too much. But this is important for this step. You want this first layer to be completely dry before you move on. Okay, so my first layer is completely dry now. I'm now going to go in with the same color on each of the flowers, but I'm going to make the color much stronger. And I'm going to do the outside petals. So I'm just starting at the base and sweeping up on both sides, and then I'll do sort of one in the middle. Now the top of my petals are looking a little bit jagged, and I'm doing that on purpose because, you know, flower petals aren't always completely even and straight. And I want to, I mean, these aren't completely lifelike flowers, but I do want to give the illusion that they are somewhat lifelike. And I want that softer color to be on the inside, so I am leaving some gaps. It's important to leave white space when you're doing a flower like this. And I'm just going to go over each of them with the same color and see what I come up with. I've mixed up some green, and I'm now going to give the tulip some stems and then do some leaves at the bottom. I'm making sure that all my stems are meeting at the bottom. It's just more aesthetically pleasing, I think, to look at with what I'm going for here. Make sure you do those little green gaps in lines in between the gaps with the flowers. You don't want any flower heads floating in space. And then the leaves for tulips are just quite long and simple. And again, I'm using that same round brush, and I'm just dragging the leaves up. I guess I should say at this point, for the leaves, I did change to the smaller brush for the stems and the leaves. I did add a little bit more blue into my green as I did more leaves to make it a little bit darker, just to give a bit more depth to the leaves at the bottom, and literally just pressing the barrel of the brush down and lifting it up as I go along. Very, very simple. You can do this. Anybody can do this. Just follow along. I promise you've got this. Very, very simple shapes. I'm just adding a little bit more dark green to some of the stems here. I did decide to do a little bit of splatter on my paint at the end here, so I took some of the yellow, made sure it was quite wet on the brush, and then literally just tapping my brush so that it's dropping some little splatters of paint onto the finished picture. So here I have a side-by-side of what both of the pictures look like, and you can see the difference in how they look. Both a very simple rendition of tulips, but one of them certainly looks better than the other. I then decided I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle to this painting, and so I used my metallic paints. This is certainly not something that you have to do, but if you have some sitting around, then you can absolutely add some if you want. My advice would be just not go overboard. You don't want to do too much of it. You just want to sort of enhance the picture that you already have. So I just chose corresponding colors in the sort of orangey and gold colors and added just a few strokes and a few lines just to enhance the petals and give it that extra bit of lovely sparkle. I then did the same thing with the leaves, and I added some green sparkle to those. I love it. So there you have it. A very easy and friendly beginner painting you can do of some tulips with just an extra little bit of sparkle. Well, I hope that was helpful and that you enjoyed painting your tulips. I would love to see them. Drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.